Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Culture Report. I'm Jamal Simon.
I'm Ashton Brooks.
And we're joined by our special co-hosts today. We have Antonia Velez and DeMarco Randall. Yep. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yo, thank you for having us. It's really awesome to be here.
This is my very first episode with DeMarco. Thank you for coming in. You came in real clutch when I was away. I really appreciate it. Well, but now we get to sit next to each other.
I was just about to say that. I'm really happy to be sitting next to you right now. So I'm looking forward,
It's an honor.
I'm looking forward to all of our conversations we're about to have.
The
Yes,
flattery,
and the
I love
fight.
it.
Let's
All
go.
right, let's hop into it. Appropriation or appreciation? That's the question we're about to ask. So a series of TikToks are going viral in what is now a trend of Asian people with straight hair going to the salon to get Afro hairstyles. The results of the process are what you may traditionally imagine when thinking of black hair.
And Rachel Dolezal, the former NAACP chapter president who falsely claimed to be black, has been fired from her job over her OnlyFans account. She was working as an after-school instructor in Arizona. A school official said the OnlyFans account violated the district's ethics policy and social media usage rule. Dolezal stirred up major controversy in 2015 when it came out that both of her biological parents were white. So she is one of the most prominent examples of appropriation versus appreciation. So what do you think there's a difference in both of these stories, first of all? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely. First of all, she has been a culture vulture her entire life. And every time her name pops up, I just sigh, just the deepest regrets, because I know it's about to be something ridiculous, which it is again.
But another interesting thing about this whole topic is that it's hair. We're talking about hair. Mm-hmm. You know, there's people who have faced discrimination based upon their hair, their natural hair.
Yeah.
And to have people go out and kind of poke fun at it, or to even make light of it, it just is, it's like, what are you doing?
What are your thoughts on the hair situation? Maybe we're circling back.
Well, we will circle back to you, Ms. Rachel.
You make sure of that. No, I totally agree with both of you. I think that appropriation is taking something from a culture that's not yours and using it to your benefit. And I think that especially without diving into historical context or
right.
like DeMarco said, the reality that a lot of people are discriminated by their natural hair, it's just not a trend. It's a reality for a lot of people. So.
Just a few weeks ago, we were talking about the student in Texas who the school is trying to force to cut his locks. Mm-hmm. So and now we have this conversation of people who are wanting to replicate our hair. You must be real jealous because they
Oh, baby, my black can't be replicated, okay? Listen, I've been growing it out. We'll talk about that later.
As soon as we was talking about this story, Jamal started fluffing his afro.
I started conditioning it. It took me hours to detangle. It's cute, though. It's cute.
So what are your thoughts?
My cutes. My thoughts, I personally do not care you do with your hair what you want to do with your hair. I do think it's a little tone deaf. It's it does feel like a bit of a costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and not only is it tone deaf, but it's to their advantage. They're in that instance, she wants to be black when it's at her advantage.
Oh, okay.
Talking about Rachel.
Now, when we come to Rachel, she has always been this weird enigma to me because, they say that appropriation is like when you take someone else's culture for your own benefit and maybe you don't acknowledge them. But for her, it's like she's appreciating the culture by way of appropriating, and it's all wrapped up into one because she was president of a chapter of NAACP, the Advancement for Colored People. So it's like she's doing good work just under false pretenses.
Yeah.
Very false pretenses.
And she was a professor of African American studies. So it's like of course you want to be mad, you want to you air out your grievances, but I'm like, I mean, she's doing great work. I think she could have gone about it differently, but she's doing the work.
Yeah, I think these conversations are kind of, for me, on the opposite end of things, because I think with the hair trend and amongst Asian people, I feel like our blackness and our black features shouldn't be a trend and shouldn't be a highlight to someone to well, let me go try that. But yeah, so I'm conflicted on that. But with Rachel, I think it's just egregious. And I think you can't while gender and sexuality may be fluid, race is not. And I think she identifies as being transracial, so.
Which is a whole other discussion that I am willing to have.
Not today.
On a different day, a different
not
episode,
today.
because that's honestly a whole episode in itself.
Yeah, but I'm tired of talking about her, though.
All right, come on to some real black women.
Okay, Congress has reintroduced legislation aimed at increasing equality. The Protect Black Women and Girls Act is a bill that will establish a task force to analyze and identify policies and programs within federal, state, and local governments that are in need of improvement. Areas of focus include education, economic development, healthcare, and housing, and how they intersect with the experience of black women and girls.
Right, police in Owasso, Oklahoma are investigating after a 16-year-old school student died following a fight on campus. According to The Independent, Nex Benedicts, who identified as non-binary, got into a fight with 3 girls in the school restroom. School officials say that they were all in the restroom for less than 2 minutes. Students broke up the fight along with a staff member that was supervising from outside the door. After each student walked themselves to the nurse's office, no ambulance was called, but out of an abundance of caution, Nex was taken to the hospital by a parent and was later discharged. The next morning, Nex collapsed in the family's living room and died later in the hospital. So some important details to mention is that Nex was in the restroom with a friend of theirs who was also trans. And they also had a history of being bullied at the school. They said since like last year, I believe, 2013. And also, this all comes on the heels of Oklahoma's governor signing some legislation that requires public school students to use the restrooms that match the gender they're assigned, the sex they're assigned at birth. So just that legislation alone, I was like, this is one of the prime examples. Not to say that the fight, we don't know what caused the fight, but this is an example of what could happen when you don't let trans people go into the restrooms they need to go into or the spaces they need to go into and force them to do something that they might be uncomfortable with. And
this is truly very sad, and it didn't have to happen. And I think the story's still developing. We're still getting details on it, so there's a lot missing. But I think, like when you mentioned the bathroom bill that was passed, like that probably would have saved their life had they been able to go into the bathroom that they felt comfortable with going to.
Right.
And I think the legislation, we talked about it all last year, how this legislation, this anti-LGBTQ legislation, is going to continue harming our community. And unfortunately, we see that in this case with this child.
Right.
And what I was reading, like even the teachers there at the school didn't call the ambulance. So they didn't even have like a sense of urgency for that. So to me, that tells me there's also probably some bias there also.
Totally.
So it's just it's disgusting. It's very sad.
That was also something that came to my mind, how you mentioned that the school hadn't called an ambulance. And also it's interesting to me that the school had someone just outside of the door instead of going into the actual place where the incident is taking place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they had rules against that or what was going on. That was odd to me too, but I also think that this is why it's important to make sure you have that kind of infrastructure in place in schools for queer students to go and maybe feel comfortable. Because like you said, no teachers, no faculty, no staff, no one thought
Sense of urgency.
I should call an ambulance. And like the mom spoke out to The Independent and said that they had been dealing with bullying for over a year now because they were transgender, like specifically because of that. So I feel like there has been motions to like ban pride flags from classrooms and that. I'm like, that's why it's so important. So students know that they have a safe space, someone they can talk to. So maybe this thing could have been avoided.
Totally.
That teacher maybe could have seen what was going on. Like, oh, I know why this happened. Let me make sure that this student is taken care of. Because we don't know if any of the other teachers or students really care to.
Yeah, and this is like, again, just a prime example that, you know, trans youth is being targeted.
Yeah.
And we talked just last week about DEI initiatives that are being taken down. Like, like you said, how far can education go? And I think my answer and all of our answers is very far.
It was a showdown full of fireworks in a courtroom in Georgia as Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis fought against the effort to remove her from the 2020 election interference case against Donald Trump. So Trump's legal team claims her romantic relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade is a conflict of interest and that Willis may have benefited financially from the relationship with Wade after she hired him to manage the case. Willis held nothing back as she addressed Trump's lawyers.
I object to you getting records. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
So my question was...
Y'all heard the woman. All right. Music icon Kelly Rowland was quite the topic of discussion this week after she allegedly walked off set of the Today Show. The singer and actress was slated to co-host the Today Show today with Hoda and Jenna alongside Hoda Kotb, but it's been widely reported that she wasn't satisfied with the dressing room she and her team were assigned. Kelly hasn't spoken about it, but her rep told Entertainment Tonight, quote, "After 28 years of knowing her, Kelly Rowland remains one of the kindest, most amiable humans I have ever met, and I have had the blessing to represent." Hoda took a moment to address the drama herself.
I have great love and admiration for Kelly Rowland. I adore her. And I want her to come back on our show, and I want her to host again. Of course she is. Of course she is. She can share my dressing room. We'll be in it together.
Oh, God. Hold on. I know a lot of people had an issue with that statement. Did y'all see anything wrong with what Hoda just said, her response?
Well, she should have been talking to her team and the reason why Kelly Rowland didn't stay, so she should have addressed that. But I think we started the show talking about the Congress passing the bill of protect black women. So, and then even a couple months before, we've been talking about how all these actresses like Taraji P. Henson are speaking out against like unfair work environments and inequity in pay. So whatever she was dealing with, I don't know Kelly Rowland personally, but what I know of her through the media, she's always presented as a person that doesn't cause problems. Like, you know what I mean? She's very, not gonna say unbothered, what's the word?
Non-problematic.
Non-problematic, there you go.
Yeah,
So I find it hard to like, yeah, it looks very bad on them, not her.
It does. I mean, she's always been so sweet. I do know. I'll give you her phone number later. We'll go out to brunch. But she, no, she's an icon. She's a legend. She's always carried herself with grace. And honestly, in the court of public opinion, nobody's mad at Kelly, really. I mean, I know there have been some people to speak out and be like, grow up. Like, you have such a great opportunity. You have this great platform. Just suck it up and do it. But, I mean, like, if you're a certain status, I mean, Kelly is Kelly Rowland. Let's not pretend like she hasn't been in the game for almost 30 years.
Right.
Like, but Bethany Frankel did come out and she was like, I've hosted many times and we know that the dressing room is the size of a closet. And I'm like, well, just because you're comfortable with that.
I also like for white celebrities to stay out of black business. She gets on my nerves for real because I feel like she inserts herself into moments that she thinks will be, this is speaking of Bethany Frankel. And like in this instance, I didn't feel like if Kelly Rowland's not commenting, she can be quiet too. But what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, no. First of all, I totally agree with you. And again, we don't know what these conditions that Kelly encountered were. I mean, we really don't know that. So I think that she is justified in her reaction.
Yes, and for the people that are attacking, it's like you just said, we don't know. She hasn't even confirmed what's happened. The most we know is that Hoda commented and said, we can share a dressing room, so maybe it could have been something about a dressing room, but who knows? It could have been her treatment, it could have been something someone said. So I feel like being so quick to dismiss a black woman, even though she hasn't even said anything, we just know that she left. That's all we know. So why are you trying to dismiss somebody when we don't even have the full story? Relax.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, Greece became the first Orthodox Christian country to legalize same-sex marriage. About 58% of their parliament voted in favor of the historic bill. Greece's prime minister took to social media to express his support, saying, "This is a milestone for human rights."
All right, and this week we want to talk about a little something new. We really want to get into, let y'all know what we're watching, because we feel like a lot of cultural moments happen on screen, and we want to plug y'all into it. You know, we have the recommendations, trust me.
Okay, so you know, like I do not go to movie theaters, especially here in Colorado. I tell y'all that all the time. It's very unsafe. Yeah. But so when The Color Purple came out, I really wanted to go see it, and I didn't because of the movie theater situation. But anyways, it just released on Max. I watched it this weekend. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing interpretation. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the original. Mm-hmm. I think we're seeing a black renaissance amongst like black actresses and actors. I just feel like it was the creme de la creme of black actors in this movie, and it was just like a joy to watch. I was crying, I was laughing. It was amazing, amazing, amazing.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it so much.
It really had like an all-star cast. It was like if we saw some new faces, we see some old faces. We saw Halle Bailey.
Surprises.
Just came. Yes, we won't let y'all know, but it was good. The music was good. They actually got singers, which has been my gripe with musicals, like movie musicals especially, that are like adaptations of stage musicals. I'm like, why are we? I understand you want to get A-listers, but can we please let them sing? It is a musical.
I also didn't know Taraji P. Henson had a voice like that. She was amazing. But so I really recommend y'all watch it.
I love that.
Love that.
What you watching? What you got going on, DeMarco?
Goodness, you know me. I like to watch a lot of like hip hop stuff, documentaries. So in this film, it's called The American Dream by 21 Savage. It's basically like a narration of his upbringing from London to Atlanta. He faces a lot of different adversity through like poverty, how he makes it in his rap game. But also what I think is really interesting about this film is the culture impact that it has. It shows the perspective of a lot of like what inner city kids might go through in metro areas, like beyond just the city of Atlanta. I really think that it also taps into the rap culture as well, because there's so much out there. And to have this sort of like expression go along with an album is really, really awesome. I mean, you've seen other like artists do this sort of stuff. Like what comes to my mind is 50 Cent, like Get Rich or Die Trying.
About that.
Eminem, 8 Mile. Like there's a bunch of different things out there.
I'm ready to watch because like I remember after he got into some sort of legal trouble and he got deported, and I was like, why are we deporting 20? Where did he go? He didn't come from here? But yes, apparently he's from London,
He's from
the UK, and had no clue. So we'll be watching.
I will definitely be watching that. For
Oh yeah, if y'all didn't know, I guess she down with it.
Love
Tony is a
21
fan.
Savage.
Who knew?
I love you.
What are you watching?
So I have a lot to say, but I'll keep it short.
Okay.
Griselda, for those of you who don't know, with the amazing, beautiful Sofia Vergara. Like talking about it as what it is, which is a Hollywood kind of romanticized production of something that was, really awful and did a lot of damage to my city, Medellin, Colombia, other Latin American countries. It is so much better in so many ways than the other things that we've seen, like Narcos. We had so many Colombian and Spanish-speaking actors. There was so much of it that was actually spoken in Spanish. And most of all, it's crazy that I grew up in Medellin and I didn't know who Griselda Blanco was. And so this just kind of pushes her story out there, which I think is important because Griselda Blanco was a bad person. Like, let's not kid ourselves. But I think it's important to tell these stories of these women who can also be monsters, because the more we do that, the more we deconstruct that gender norm that women are this obedient
Housewife.
creature. And I think that also is probably why I didn't know who she was, and a lot of people didn't know who she was. And it's like, does it make you uncomfortable to talk about a woman, a mother, who did all of these things, and ask yourself why,
Gangsta. I like it. You put me onto that. I started watching.
It's
I got
so
2
good.
episodes left.
It's so good, y'all.
I haven't seen it, but I heard Sophia is great. Right now I'm watching Modern Family, so it's like the whole other side of the coin.
Oh, she's phenomenal in it. Yeah.
Okay.
What am I watching?
Jamal.
Y'all, okay, this one was one that didn't make much of a splash this year recently. It came out a few months ago. It's called All of Us Strangers. I believe it's still in theaters. But it excited me. I only saw it just because I saw queer characters, and sometimes that's all it takes to get my attention. But the fact that it was actually good really just set the bar so much higher. But I can't even explain to y'all what it's about. But because what I have with queer movies is I feel like they have this crutch where they just rely on the character being queer, if it's the main character, and that pushes the plot completely, and that makes me so angry. Or it's just this horrible, heartbreaking, tragic story about them not being accepted and this and that. But this one explores different narratives, different things. It explores love and loss, and it's like kind of like a psychological thriller and romance. It's real trippy. It's really creative. It's beautifully shot. You will not know what's going on.
What is it on?
Oh, no, I had to see it in theaters. I saw it at this little...
Oh, so I gotta wait.
It's not quite out yet. You have to wait. Ashton doesn't like going to the movie theater, but it's so good. It switched things up, which I'm not used to seeing with queer movies.
Okay.
So that really excited
I'm
me.
excited. I've been meaning to watch it. I also love Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal, so...
Ooh, I'm gonna put these on my list, actually.
Yeah, and it does get a little hot and steamy, but it's also sweet. And it also talks about family dynamics.
All right, Jamal.
It's good. Watch it.
All righty. Well, let's hop into this week's good news.
The day our app is live! You can download it via the link in our bio. My name is Charlie, and I'm the founder of Everywhere is Queer, which is a worldwide map of over 9,500 queer-owned businesses. Yes, it's free and available on iOS and Android. Have fun with our new app, and here's to queer joy!
Are you looking to find more queer-owned businesses? Well, this app is a sort of worldwide map of LGBTQ businesses that helps users to find safe spaces for whatever their needs may be. So think bookstores, salons, even access to queer lawyers and real estate agents. Everywhere is Queer is now available wherever you get your apps at.
So, Time magazine just released its Women of the Year list, highlighting 12 powerful women who are fighting for an equitable future. 2 of them are a Palestinian woman and an Israeli woman who steer separate organizations that came together to demand peace, asking their respective leaders to reach nonviolent resolutions. The organizations were jointly nominated for the 2024 Nobel Peace Prize.
And Beyonce became the first ever black female artist to top the Hot Country Songs chart with Texas Hold'em. Beyonce is now the first woman to have topped both the Hot Country and Hot R&B hip hop charts since this list began in 1958.
Don't just sit there. Buy tickets or something.
Icon. Vanessa Williams is bringing Miranda Priestley to the stage. She's starring in The Devil Wears Prada musical adaptation in London's West End as the iconic Runway magazine editor-in-chief. The role was originally played by Meryl Streep in the 2006 film, and a bonus, Sir Elton John is writing the music for it.
Ooh.
Iconic.
I know, this is really...
Wow.
Jamal is about to go international, y'all. I said I wanted to travel.
You gotta get your passport
I need to
first.
get my passport first. Yes, Ashton. He be on me,
I'm glad
child.
you reminded him.
Yes, I need to get my... Oh, and did we notice that Beyonce was mentioned this week, and it wasn't my story. It wasn't even my idea, y'all. I didn't put him up to this. He's just cultured. I can't... Nothing to do with me, but she's going #1 next week on the Hot 100. And real quick, I love the app.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Everywhere is Queer. That's
I
really...
just downloaded it this morning, so I'm going to start using it to I like to frequent black-owned business, and so now this adds to my repertoire, and I can go to queer-owned businesses now.
I love that.
And you just feel safer. You can get things done. Sometimes I don't even want to... I remember I used to not even want to get my hair cut because I didn't know. I'm like,
That's a real thing.
barbershops can be a real macho place, and
Right.
it's not very accepting, not very fun. I remember as a kid, I was just very closed off, didn't talk. I mean, they knew who I was, but I minded my business because I didn't
You was
want...
quiet as a child?
Well, no, oh no, not by any means.
Okay.
But in the barbershop, I was, because nobody's about to get on me. Anyway, so I love that is another resource available for
Yeah,
folks.
that's awesome. Lawyers, too? Insane.
Nice.
It's a cool
Also,
thing.
just
Check
in
it
case, so if you need somebody to bail you out, not me, get the app. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining this week's Culture Report. We'll be back to continue the conversation next Thursday right here on 9 News Plus and 9news.com.